Our next keynote presentation is a treat. This gentleman came all the way, and again, actually have to deal with some political issue with the paperwork on the passport, but I'm glad you actually make it. So Annabelle, you're not the only one. So Shiv Dyke is actually from AWS. He's a senior global mechanical infrastructure category head at AWS. It's actually kind of a mouthful for me. That's why I need to have the notes, and I wrote it about 6 times. Well, I'm going to give it my Susanna version of what this guy does. Come on over here, Shiv. This gentleman spent $1 billion an hour buying things. You may want to kind of get to know him.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you very much for having me.
He has an unbelievable career in the last decade, have worked in the technology field, infrastructure, telecommunication, manufacturing, and it's amazing to actually talk to him because he's not only actually just procurement, he's actually defined and engineer and operate an entire global strategy train, making transformation himself in massive scale, as you actually know in AWS, that many of you probably have the experience in actually using some of their product that show up to you because you just reliably order everything from them, in that regard. And AWS basically doing that. Now, but don't be actually fooled by Shiv. He is very soft-spoken. He's a quiet gentleman. He's extremely humbled in the career. But he is the bedrock behind AWS, spending probably a couple billions an hour going forward. The approach that he does is very pragmatic and almost impossible to do. So it is absolutely a delight on behalf of Data Cloud and personally for myself, we actually have you here with us to learn from you. How do you make the impossible possible? Shiv, please take it away.
All right. First of all, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for time. Can I have the clicker, please?
Yes, we do have the clicker.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. All right. So my name is Shiv, and I manage the mechanical cooling for the rest of the world for AWS. And today I'm going to talk about the global procurement and supply chain in the AI era. And I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces. And this is actually a great opportunity for all of us to understand that the artificial intelligence era is far deeper than what we understand. And as Susanna highlighted about the impossible. And I'm going to actually talk about the impossible. And every impossible every breakthrough starts with a question. And my question to all of you is, what is your impossible? Let's assume 5 years back, if someone comes to you and say, hey, we have to build 100 gigawatt capacity in the next 5 years. The capacity will be enabled with NVIDIA chips. It will be enabled with liquid cooling. And the VCs, the market, will be ready with $3 trillion investment. I'm sure you will laugh and you will just move on from there. Because no one anticipated this kind of volumes, the growth, and the disruption we are going through. In the last 5 years, we have gone through the geopolitical challenges. We have gone through to the COVID-19, the pandemic. We have gone through to the multiple wars. And today, the challenge in front of us, the technology transition, which is speeding up so fast that we don't know what's next. But today, we do not have that opportunity to just move on from that opportunity. We have the opportunity to build the biggest technological transition in the history of technology. We all have seen the era of mobile phones from 2G to 5G, we have gone through to the journey, and probably I call this generation the most fortunate generation which has actually gone through the advantages of mobile phones from 2G to 5G. We are the ones who have actually adopted the cloud, the benefits of cloud. We have experienced the ecosystem of startups evolving with cloud operators developing the infrastructure and ecosystem. And we are the one who are going to enjoy the benefits of artificial intelligence. And we are not only going to enjoy, we are the one who are going to build it, who are going to power it, and who are going to secure the next layer of artificial intelligence. So for me, the impossibles are certainly there, but I believe that all the people here, the partners, the hyperscalers, chip makers, everyone, we all can make it possible. So let's make it possible. Because I'm going to talk more on, Sujana spoke about the architecture, the layers, and, NVIDIA gentleman, Carlos, mentioned about how the chip business is working and how they are working on the ecosystem. But my primary focus today is talking about the supply chain and procurement, which is actually architecting the infrastructure layer and the infrastructure of the artificial intelligence ecosystem. Traditionally, supply chain has been considered as partner who can think about cost, delivery, and quality. But supply chain is not only that 10%. The real supply chain, the real procurement is beneath the iceberg, the water levels, where you are thinking about how you can reduce the complexity, how you can work on the resilient supply chains, how you can remove the supplier risk, how you can develop the multi-layer, multi-tier supply chain, how you can remove the resiliency challenges. We all have gone through so many challenges during the COVID-19 where the supply chain lead times actually reached to almost 2 years on some of the power and cooling equipments. And I see some of the gentlemen and my friends here in the industry where we have spent hours and hours in solving complex problems where the lead times of single electronic configured fans reached to almost 65 weeks. Just imagine a fan with delivery to 65 weeks. How supply chain can solve those problems is anticipate the problem, how we can look at the future ahead. The successful supply chains and procurements will be the one who will not only anticipate the supply chain disruptions, who will prepare for that. And this is the expectation from the industry today. The speed is everything. The complexity is biggest enemy of speed. And we have to reduce the speed. We have to reduce the complexity and increase the speed. There are hidden dependencies, there are geopolitical challenges, there are tariffs, there are sanctions, but how we can work together, that is expected from the supply chain people today. And that's the overall ecosystem we are developing, that we not only think about one layer of product with our OEMs, but we also think about the total data center supply chain map. When I work with my OEMs, with my third-party component manufacturers, we are not only thinking about that how we can solve the problem together by sourcing the equipment, but we also have to think about that the supplies of the raw materials, the supplies of the silicon wafers, the supplies of the rare earth minerals, the semiconductors, components, CPUs, GPUs, chips, the systems and hardwares, networking equipments, and then power and cooling equipments, and construction sites. So the entire data center industry, you can see the map, and one of this building block missing is going to disrupt and disturb the entire supply chain. So as a supply chain professionals, as a partner, we all have to work together to ensure that the supply is constantly, it's a conveyor belt where everything has to go smooth, frictionless, seamless. And we are working together with our partners to ensure that your problems are our problems are your problem. We have to work together to build this ecosystem together. And on top of this, the most important layer is human capital. The data center industry is probably going to be the biggest job generator in the industry globally. And the human capital, the human resources requirement are going to be very, very important in architecting, in designing, in building and constructing. I think this is not new for anyone, and I would say the geopolitical risk is permanent now. It is going to be there. We have to live with it. We have to survive with it, but we have to prepare for it. There are tariffs and sanctions. There are semiconductor constraints. There are, single source countries. There are challenges. But what we need to do, we need to diversify. We need to build a supply chain which has the global impact and the regional execution. We need to have that strategy where we are able to build the supply chain which has the risk mitigation strategy from the geopolitical challenges and the risk. Susanna asked me to speak about the imperatives, and the imperatives for me are very important to discuss that how AWS is working globally and ensuring that our supply chain is protected from the global risk, from the mitigations we are building, and the challenges which we have in front of us. The imperatives are the must things to do now, and we are working to build the supply chain which is looking forward and working backward. The future-led supply chain will not be anticipating the challenges, but it is also executing and having a plan in your back pocket. So when at AWS, we look forward to work with our partner teams, with our design teams, with our demand management team, our business teams. We ensure that we have a plan for the next 2 to 3 years, and in fact for 5 years. We are working on the technological designs, on the architectures, the product selections, and we are interlocking with our partners and suppliers ahead of time. We love to work with the partners who are ready to invest with us, and we want to grow with our partners in this journey because this is a great opportunity for everyone where we can make the real change in the technological history. And this is probably the biggest bet, the biggest investment, and the success of this journey or this milestone is going to change the way we live today and is going to change the way we business today. So looking forward, and the next step is the working backward. So as I said, we want to define the future state. We want to see how the future will look like, and in the next 5 years course, how the technology will evolve. That is our goal, that is our vision. And we are setting the milestones. We have the ability to zoom in, zoom out. We're absolutely working on our lessons learned. We are ensuring that there are challenges, there are risks, but we have a plan. And how we do that? We walk backward. We do the reverse engineering. We do the value engineering, and we are ensuring that the milestone which we have set, we are working on that to execute. The reverse engineering is allowing us to do the working backward plan. So it is about how we are setting up the actions today, and we are visualizing the goals for tomorrow. It is very important to work on the challenges and the bottlenecks removals. The bottlenecks, as I explained earlier, there are n number of challenges, but your supply chain strategy, your procurement strategy has to have all the 360-degree views from the different perspective and the diverse perspective to ensure that you have the strategy. The strategy of the future-led supply chain will cover 3 imperatives. The first one will be standardization. As I explained earlier, the complexity is enemy of speed. And the faster you standardize, the faster you plan for the future, you will be able to achieve the goals which we all have visualized together. There are examples I can talk about standardization, and this is, as I said, we are very quick to learn from our lessons, from our mistakes. And this has been an evolution where we are learning day in, day out, every day. What we realized that there have been challenges on the subcomponent side, which is critical in requirement, supply constraints, and demand is huge. The n number of variants, the model numbers, it actually disrupts the supply chain, and we are unable to consolidate the volumes with our OEMs and with our subcomponent partners. We worked on this project and we ensured that we have the bill of material standardization for every component we work. We worked on the mitigation strategy to have minimum dual source and multi-source. And we worked with the third-party component suppliers to reduce the lead times. So as I gave examples of 60, 65 weeks of lead time, today that lead time has come down to 6 to 10 weeks. But it is important that we do on the demand management, we work on the forecast management, and we also work on the design architecture to make it simplify. The standardization is going to be the key, and further we expand it at every stage, not only at the design, not only at the bill of material, but it has to be the further layers of subcomponents and then further to the raw materials and the chips. That's we are planning and we are implementing at the moment. The next one for me is simplification. We need to simplify our processes. The tools, the systems, the processes, it has to speak the same language. We work on design conformance, product performance, and quality assurance. And these three things will come from the standard set of processes, the simplified processes. And we are working on the simplification every time, and that has been a real big achievement for us in working faster with our partners. We have been able to reduce the lead time drastically, and it also has been a great success in delivering multi-gigawatt capacity year on year. And that's also sets the ambition for us to deliver, again, the multi-gigawatt capacity in the coming years. Acceleration. This is what Amazon is famous for. We accelerate, we work for speed, we understand the speed is everything. And probably this is the biggest technological race which everyone is running towards the crown. But acceleration and speed is going to play a vital role. And it will ensure that the investment which this industry is making today is actually going to deliver the right results for the human and achieve the success. The strategy is what we are doing. We are simplifying, we are standardizing, we are accelerating, but how we are doing it? We are working on the design to cost, design to value, and we understand this industry is completely different from what we have seen in the other industries of telecom or networks or mobile or automobile. Here, speed is everything. But to match the speed, you need to simplify, you need to standardize. And you also have to understand the design. Architecture is very important. Your entire design outlook of the data center, of your product profile, it will decide how you are going to source. And for supply chain people, it is very important that we interlock at early stage with our partners, with our consultants, and with our internal stakeholders. And we work on the design to value mechanism, that how this component and this element is going to help us and deliver the speed and the scale and the scope. We are absolutely resilient freak. We want to ensure that we have dual source, we have multi-supplier mechanism in every country, in every region. We are working on multi-tier 1, 2, 3 to ensure that there is no shortage of raw materials, there is no shortage of GPUs, there is no shortages of subcomponents, and there is enough supplies from the OEMs. We want to ensure that the suppliers are having the resilient approach in their system also. They are customer obsessed, and they are working with us with our cultural collaboration. Today, capacity is everything. If you have the capacity, you have the opportunity. If you have the speed, you are more than welcome. So the demand allocation and the demand reservability is going to play a vital role, and we want to work with those partners who has that. The complexity reduction I spoke, need for speed to market, how you're able to reduce the lead times, and how you're able to work on the challenges, you are able to build a resilient supply chain. Nearshoring the local execution in every country nearby to understand the challenges which we have from the geopolitical challenges. So my final message before I wrap up and introduce Susanna, but I want to say that in this artificial intelligence journey, we all are together. We all have to build a sustainable, a resilient, and scalable. Most important, scale, because this industry is all about speed, scale, and scope. If we are able to build the competitive advantage, if we are able to win the competitive advantage by building this kind of supply chain, I think we will be the winner. And the supply chains who will build the scalable, resilient, and the sustainable supply chain will be the real winner and will be able to deliver the future of the artificial intelligence. Thank you very much.